Hi, thank you so much for joining us for this installment of the Well podcast. We have a special treat for you today. We are talking all things SEO, and I brought a very special guest along with us. Hello, Elizabeth. She is our Director of Digital Marketing. How are you, Elizabeth?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm very excited to dive into today's topic because one thing that a lot of people are interested in and they know it's important, especially depending on where you're living and your demographic that you serve. But SEO is a hot topic and it's something that a lot of people want to do, but maybe they're a little intimidated. They don't know if they need a vendor or if they can do it themselves. So today, Elizabeth is going to be walking us through just a really great breakdown and overview of SEO, what it is, what it entails, and how people can go about that SEO journey. So thank you so much for joining us today, Elizabeth.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, again, today is all about SEO, and I just want to go ahead and get started by kind of just giving an overview. Maybe you know a little bit about SEO, maybe you're a little bit more advanced, but really just so that everybody is on the same page. If you could just tell us, Elizabeth, what is SEO and what exactly does it entail? You just kind
Yeah.
of group everyone together on the same stage.
Yeah, absolutely. So SEO is search engine optimization. And ultimately, the reason that we do SEO is to help bring in more new patients to you through Google. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and just make this a little bit more visible. And so
Awesome.
what our goal is with SEO, we're trying to help you appear higher within Google search results so you can be in this top three. So if you're higher within Google, ultimately more people will see you, more people are going to click on you, and then they're going to, the phones are going to be ringing more, and then you bring in ultimately more new patients. So SEO can be for any industry, but it really, really helps within that dental industry. Because if you're at the top of Google, you're going to bring in more new patients. Whether you're, a general practitioner or if you're a specialist, it really helps everyone these days and makes a difference. So that's really what SEO is. And I want to go through a little bit more of how to take a look at Google as well. So you've probably seen Google and done searches for yourself, of course. And within this section, we also have the sponsored section. So this part is not included within SEO. This is something that's called Google Ads or pay per click, paid search. There's a lot of names for it. It costs money every time that you click on that, and it can be helpful if you are looking for new patients right now, but it does get a bit expensive. That's why we really recommend SEO as a really good next first step because you don't have to pay every time someone clicks here. So we have this places section. Usually about 54% of people in any Google search are going to click on the top three search results. So if you're not in that top three, you're probably missing out and you could be bringing in more new patients right now. Now, in addition, so we look at this places section that's super important. That's also called the map pack. And especially focuses on local results. We have the normal results in here. And then we also even have things like this people also ask section. And that part is going to incorporate FAQs and things that people are wondering. These are all things that you should be targeting, that map section, the regular section, the people also ask. And this is really ultimately ways to bring in more new patients at the end of the day.
Awesome, awesome. So, from my understanding, of course, your website is a big deal, as well as some other components, which we'll definitely get into. But when it comes to overall, like you said, if you're in that top three position, really, that's where you want to be. That's where more than
Mhm.
50% of people will be clicking, correct?
Absolutely. It's so important to be at the very top of Google.
Awesome. So, what are the most important components when it comes to SEO, as far as the unique information about your services and making sure that all your information is up to date? Can you kind of just take us through that and any examples that you may have?
Yeah, that is such a great question. So within SEO, there are so many different levers that we can pull in order to make it work. But a lot of them really boil down to a few things. So content is so important. Do you have unique content on the website? Also directories. So that's going to be your Yelp, Yellow Pages, anything that lists your name, address, and phone number. And there are hundreds of directories out there. And it's really important that you have consistent and accurate information on those. And then another component is going to be the technical side of the website. Can Google read and understand your website? And then finally, another one that used to be kind of a big focus for SEO, but not as much anymore, is links. Now, links from external websites going to your website are still super important. They used to be the main thing, but it is important to have outside websites to link to you to say, hey, this is a good website. So it is still something that we focus on as well, but generally we do it in a more natural way of by creating great content, you'll attract great links as well.
Awesome. Awesome.
Oh, and now with that, I do have a few examples too. And so I can show some of what that content looks like. So
Absolutely.
we have a client here who they are, we've worked with them for a while and we've been able to create some really great content for them. So this is just an example of what unique content is going to look like. So Google and actually ChatGPT as well, they love information like question answers. So in this example, you have what are dental implants? Then there's a brief answer. It's very bullet point focused. So this is just kind of one example of how content can make a difference. And Google just loves this type of format.
Is
Um,
that going to tie into what you showed us earlier on the Google page of people frequently ask, like questions that people ask? Is Google pulling from like these types of pieces of information on your website?
Really great point. Exactly. You got it exactly right. So this people also ask, it really focuses on this FAQs and also ChatGPT. ChatGPT is becoming more and more important these days. And if by having this FAQs, that's really going to help having question plus answer. And it's going to help people too. People these days, they have maybe a little bit shorter attention spans, just given TikTok and everything. So you want to give them the answer quickly and really clearly too.
Awesome. Awesome. And when you talk about links, one thing that we definitely have heard about in the past is whether or not it is okay to buy links. Is that something that you tend to tell people to steer away from, or is that okay? What would you recommend in that realm?
I'm really glad you brought that up. So that is a myth that you can buy links. I highly recommend not buying links because buying links can actually damage your website. That used to be something that people would do. People would buy links, their website would start doing better. There are still companies out there that sell links. Do not do that. You could really damage your website. So I highly recommend if you talk to anyone, don't buy links.
Awesome. Yes. So do not buy links from people. You want to have that information shared organically on your website, your links, and also other people having linking to your website as well, correct?
Yeah, getting them naturally, it really makes a big difference. So links are still important. You just want to get them by creating great content that people, external websites just want to link to naturally. And that's ultimately going to help you to appear higher in Google if you have those good natural links.
Awesome. Awesome. So thank you for taking us through that example and also breaking down just the anatomy, as we say, of a Google search page and what shows up when people do say, dentist near me, and just understanding the breakdown of a Google page. It has a lot of sections and there are different ways that you show up for that. So, we are going to get into a rapid fire Q&A that I think is going to be a lot of fun because again, when it comes to SEO, we have there's a lot of information floating out there and a lot of people take a different approach to it, correct?
Yeah, definitely. There are so many people doing SEO, and so we wanted to be able to just clear up a few of those misconceptions.
Awesome. So again, we're going to do a rapid fire Q&A style, Mythbuster style. We're just going to ask Elizabeth some questions and get her expert opinion on them. And she's going to go into a little bit more detail briefly for that, for each question. So are you ready, Elizabeth?
I'm ready.
Awesome. Awesome. So the first statement is, I only need to rely on referrals and word of mouth for new patient leads. Myth or truth?
That one is a myth. So it is really important to look beyond referrals. Now, referrals are so important. That is something you should keep doing, but there are thousands of people out there who are searching for dentists, people who can help them with dental implants, all sorts of different specialists. So across the board, whether you're, doing general dentistry or you're a specialist, there are people looking for your services. So it's really important to make sure that you're in Google and that you're appearing to them. Otherwise, your competitors could be taking away your new patients.
Thank you. Thank you for that one. So that is a myth. Relying solely on referrals and word of mouth. There's so much more opportunity out there, folks. So make sure that you're grabbing it with your SEO strategy. Okay, statement number two. I do not need a dedicated dental ad agency to run my SEO program. A friend who knows about SEO will get me the results I'm looking for. Myth or truth, Elizabeth?
That is a myth that going just with your friend is going to be the best course of action. Now, if your friend has years of experience, has been in this industry for a while, then maybe you could go that way. But I would generally recommend going with an agency because while at Revenue Well you'll have a dedicated SEO analyst, that's going to be the person who you're going to work with for a long term. They also are working with other SEO analysts as well, so you really get all these different people who are coming up with different ideas. And if your analyst runs into a wall, they have a bunch of people that they can ask, and they're always learning together. And really, they know this industry so well. If having someone by themselves, they're not going to be able to keep up with the industry quite as much. So I would generally recommend going with an agency. So I would say, going with just someone down the street, generally that's not going to be your best option.
Thank you for that. So, moving on, my practice being listed on third party sites is important to boosting my rank and credibility, excuse me, with Google.
That is true. It is really important to be listed on third-party websites. And so that was going back to the directories that we mentioned, Yelp and Yellow Pages and Facebook and those hundreds of listings of websites. It is so, so important to make sure that you're listed with the right name, the right address and phone number. There are many, many times where I've seen an office had moved or changed or been bought, and they still have that old name floating out there or the old address. And that can be really confusing both to Google and also to patients. Sometimes they'll go to the wrong address, for example, or they'll get confused about the different names. And then this is confusing to Google as well. And if Google confused, generally they're just going to put you lower in the list of Google. Fewer people will find you. So it is really important to be listed on third-party websites. And ultimately, having accurate information is going to help you do better in Google.
Yes, I am a directory girl. So I go to ZocDoc, I go to my insurance, find a doctor in my network page. So that's definitely one of the resources that I use is the directory. So
They're really helpful.
yes, absolutely. Okay, moving on. I have to pay to appear on Google when doing SEO. This is a good one. Is this a myth or is this true that you have to pay to appear on Google when you're doing your SEO strategy?
That is a myth. So you can do Google Ads or paid search in order to appear at the very top of Google. That's the portion that's going to be covered by when you pay to appear in Google. When it comes to SEO, you don't have to pay any money in order to appear within Google. Really, what we're doing is we're trying to make your content, the technical side of your website, and your directories in really good shape so that Google just naturally knows your website and the information out there on the internet is in really good spot and that Google just wants to show you as high as possible. So it is a myth. You do not have to pay to appear in Google and to appear more highly within Google, unless you want to do Google Ads, which is just a separate strategy.
Awesome. Awesome. And a podcast coming near you one day. Google Ads. Okay, this will be my last statement. Myth or truth? I need more than a Google business profile to get a high ranking with Google.
That is true. You do need more beyond just Google Business Profile. If you've already set up your Google Business Profile, that's great. That is really important. So, keep that, make sure to optimize that. But it is important to have all the other items, such as, good content, to have a really solid, technically sound website. So there are things beyond just Google Business Profile that are really important, and in order to be able to help you bring in more new patients via Google.
And the Google My Business profile is that box that shows up kind of to the right of the screen, right? That lists your address, your practice name, and a little blurb about the practice, correct?
Yeah, good point. And sometimes it's called Google My Business, and sometimes it's Google Business Profile. It's all the same thing. But yeah, you're exactly right. That is the portion that usually pops up on the right-hand side within a Google search. That's usually influenced by Google Business Profile.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, that wraps up our Mythbuster style Q&A. Thank you so much for, kind of debunking some of those myths and validating some of the truths. So Elizabeth, we are going to wrap up now. This is a great discussion. Thank you so much. One thing that I would like to know is that I would like to note is just that, and you can talk about this a little bit more in our last couple of minutes, but a lot of people have been scarred by maybe a negative SEO experience. Maybe they chose the wrong person or vendor, or maybe they tried to do it themselves and they just didn't see the results that they wanted after the time put in, the energy, and sometimes even the funds put in. What would you say to someone who has maybe had a bad experience and they're feeling a little scarred towards SEO?
Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought this up. And I know that, investing your money into a new SEO agency can be scary because, there are so many people out there who are doing SEO, and some of them do it really well and some of them not quite as well. Our goal is to always make sure that we're really making a difference. And so I would say if you're not sure about it, come talk to us. We will do a free audit for you and we'll show you what we'll do differently, because we want to prove to you, here is how we're different. Here's what we're going to do differently from your current agency. So if you're not sure and you've done SEO in the past and you're trying to figure out if it makes sense to continue forward or to try a new agency, that's where we can do a free audit for you and really show you more tangibly, here's what we're going to do differently. Because on average, our SEO versus so if you have a website with us versus a website with SEO, on average, our SEO is going to help to double the number of people going to your website. So we really have that data to back it up that SEO can make a big difference for you and bring in more new patients. And so, come have a talk with us. Well, we can help show you why we're different versus others.
Thank you so much for your expertise, Elizabeth. We really appreciate it. This was a fun conversation to have. I appreciate you joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. This was really fun. So I really enjoyed talking a little bit more about this.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, all of you out there, one step that you can take on your SEO journey by yourself is visiting a tool that we have that will show you your Google ranking. So, you can kind of get the conversation started yourself by going to www.evaluatemypractice.com. Make sure you put that www in there. So, that's www.evaluatemypractice.com. It will ask you a few questions. It's very quick and it will give you your Google ranking so that you know where you stand with your practice right now with Google. And then, like Elizabeth said, by all means, if you have more questions, if you would like to explore a new SEO journey for your practice, please head over to our website at revenuewell.com. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Elizabeth, again for joining.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys next time on the Well Podcast. Bye bye.